silent here. So I have to apologize for my time being away, but now that finals are over, I can finally get back into it. And Justin Dennis has some interesting views regarding rape accusations. Let's take a look, shall we?
I find it weird that rape is the only crime that people tend to get really skeptical about.
Alright, so let's look at two scenarios. Scenario 1, woman goes up, says, "I've been robbed. I think I saw the man and the face of the man who did it." So she goes up, picks a man in a lineup, and she happens to be wrong. Second scenario is a woman comes to the police department and says, "A man's raped me. I think I know what he looks like," and picks the wrong man. In which of these two scenarios is the man punished more harassed on the internet, more violated? The second one. Because, oh, you were just falsely accused of a burglary. Okay, well, I guess you just didn't do it. But the feminist hate mob, the Twitter hate mob, the listen and believe motherfuckers immediately say, well, that man is a rapist, even if she recants because she finds out she was wrong, even if DNA proves it wasn't him and it was somebody else. That man is still a rapist. And that's why we're more skeptical of rape claims than any other claim, because it is the most violating if you are falsely accused.
Like, you could come up to someone and say that someone stole your car or vandalized your house or something, and they'd be like, "Oh no, that's awful, I'm sorry, are you okay?" But go up to that same person and say that you were raped, and it's likely that their response will be more like, "Are you sure? Did you really fight it? Weren't you kind of asking for it?"
This is a bullshit scenario that just never happens. Let's just move on.
And this isn't okay. We have to believe survivors when they come forward with their stories. That act alone takes a lot of bravery and strength, and it's so harmful to tell a survivor that they didn't experience what they know they experienced.
If a woman gets drunk at a party, a man that she likes gets drunk at a party, they have sex, neither of them can remember what happened the other day, but he raped her. I'm not going to tell her, "Yes, I listen and believe, yes, you were definitely raped," because guess what? You fucking weren't. Neither of you could fucking consent, and neither of you can be blamed for that. Okay? Of course, it's fucking awful if a woman is violently raped and someone says, "Well, that didn't really happen to you." But when there's DNA evidence, when there's proof, when there's scratches and bite marks, I don't see anyone, I haven't heard of anyone saying that. When there's evidence.
So because of that, here are 10 lies we're told about rape survivors that are not true at all.
Here we fucking go.
Number 1, they're lying about being raped. There are a couple of angles to this one. The first is that, statistically, this is most likely not true. About 2 to 8% of reported rapes end up being false reports, which is lower than the 10% of false reports for other crimes. And that's not to mention that a lot of what is considered false reports might actually have been real, and the survivor was just pressured to recant their story.
Justin, please go back and see my previous video. The 2.8 stuff is very questionable at best. There's been much higher reporting on those unreported numbers, and the stuff about false accusations being so low is very questionable.
The second part of this is it's just the more humane thing to believe someone when they tell you they've experienced a massive trauma. People's feelings, emotions, and well-being matter, and your default reaction to someone's pain shouldn't be to try to cause them more pain by denying what they're telling you.
It's not about hurting other people, and it's not about making their experiences invalid. It's about doubting a claim that requires evidence. And the situation you're describing with so many people just don't believe is just so untrue. There's a victim status involved with a rape accusation. That's why it carries so much weight. The situation you are talking about, Justin, doesn't exist.
Number 2, they didn't report to the police, so it can't be real. There are so many legitimate reasons a survivor might not report to the police. Some people don't realize until sometime afterward that what happened to them was rape. For example, if their partner is gaslighting them, that is, making them question their own memory and experiences, they might be too unsure about it to report.
As I said in my previous video, rapes can be real if they're not reported. We just consider them inconclusive. And Justin, of course, memory is fragile and easy to manipulate, And not just from someone with dark intentions, from researchers who are just saying, you saw a movie and there was a barn in it, or was there not a barn in it? There's been so many studies about, witness tampering and changing people's memories, and that's why eyewitness testimonies are not listened to like they were back in the 40s and the 50s, because we know that memories can be tampered with. I'm agreeing with you here, just to be clear.
Others know that they could report, but they choose not to because they're afraid of the negative reaction they'll get from the police. Because, let's face it, a police station isn't the most welcoming scenario to open up about something like that, and police officers are known for not knowing how to talk to survivors in a sensitive way.
Citation needed.
Maybe they just knew what kind of negative attention it would garner if they did report to the police, and they were afraid that people weren't going to believe them. Or maybe they don't have enough evidence to convict someone in court, but they still know what happened to them. Going to the police is not the one true indicator of if someone was raped.
If a victim does not go to the police, then that incident is unreported, and that incident will not go to trial, and therefore there will be no conviction. Therefore, that incident is called inconclusive. So, it's not about the rape victims, it's not about the rape instances not being real, Justin. Sure, they're real. We just can't put them into statistics.
Number 3, there are discrepancies in their story, so it can't be true. PTSD is a powerful, powerful thing, and it can really screw with your memory. After extremely traumatic events, it's incredibly common for survivors to misremember things.
Having one or two discrepancies in your story, in any case, on anything, usually isn't major to someone's credibility. Forgetting that the crime happened at 9:15 when it actually happened at 9:30, that's not considered major. But take the UVA rape case that was in the Rolling Stone. She changed her story numerous times and had numerous discrepancies, major discrepancies, every time she fucking changed her story. That brings her story into question. Not getting the time a little bit wrong, not forgetting every single action as it happened or what color shirt her rapist was wearing. No. Major discrepancies and numerous changes to her witness statement is what brought her statement into question.
Telling a story different ways multiple times is not a good indicator of if their story is true or not. That is a perfectly natural response to trauma.
If there was a rape kit done, if there was a video recording, if there was DNA evidence, if it was an open and shut case, and not a he said, she said, then the victim changing their story multiple times would probably not call into question their credibility. But when it's a he said, she said, when the only thing backing up their story is their witness statement, and they change it multiple times, it definitely hurts their credibility.
Number 4, they could have said no or fought harder. A lot of survivors report freezing up completely when it happens, like physically not being able to move or fight off their attacker. Think of it like a deer in headlights scenario. Your body just locks up and doesn't know what to do. And consent isn't as simple as you can do whatever you want to someone until they say no. Consent needs to be given affirmatively and enthusiastically. The absence of a no is not a yes.
Oh my god, you have to show consent enthusiastically. Yes, 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 yes. Oh my god, yes. And the moment she stops saying yes, oh dude, you have to stop. Oh my gosh, no. But I agree with him that freezing up is a natural response. It's a traumatic response. It's your body goes into shock. I can understand that. But please understand, Justin, that kicking and screaming and shouting no and putting claw marks on a rapist is definitely indicative of not showing consent. Sitting there in silence is in some way questionable. I agree, consent should be affirmative, but it shouldn't be constant. You shouldn't constantly have to affirm. Once a woman says, yes, I want to have sex with you, and you start having sex, she maybe can say, I'm uncomfortable, or can we change positions, or whatever the fucking situation is. But it shouldn't be the moment she stops screaming, yes, oh, okay, that's when consent's gone. That's ridiculous. No one ever has sex like that.
Number 5, look at what they were wearing. They were asking for it. There is no way to justify this. Nobody asked to get raped. People wearing skirts and people wearing sweatpants get raped. Your clothing has nothing to do with it.
I agree, Justin, but no one says this. No one is going around saying, "Oh, was that woman wearing a short skirt? Was that one wearing a short skirt?" They were totally asking for it. No one says that. I don't know anybody who says that.
Number 6, they just want attention. I've literally never understood this one because nothing positive ever comes from someone publicly accusing their rapist. They're dragged through a long, painful legal process and usually smeared across the internet.
So I'm guessing you've never heard of victim status before, Justin. Never heard of it. Not once.
Nobody gets famous as a rape survivor. Nobody wants that attention. Number 7, they're too fat or old or ugly to be raped. There's no one type of person who gets raped. Children, senior citizens, men, women, non-binary people, people of color, fat people, skinny people, disabled people, anyone can be raped.
I love how he lists off every group except for white people, but yeah, yes, I agree with you, Justin, on this point.
Rapists don't pick victims based on how attractive they think they are, because rape isn't about sexual pleasure, it's about power and domination.
I both agree and disagree with Justin on this point. I do think that rape is about control and power over another person. However, I do think that at some level, rapists pick their targets based on having a certain look or looking attractive in some way. I don't think that a rapist looks at a 600-pound, enormously obese woman and says, I want to rape that bitch, and then looks at a supermodel and says, I don't want to rape that bitch. I don't think that's how it works, Justin.
And besides, this kind of thinking is based on a very narrow view of what makes someone attractive. In reality, attractiveness is extremely subjective, and projecting your ideas of attractiveness onto someone else to validate if they were raped or not doesn't make any sense.
The only person projecting is you, Justin, I promise.
Number 8, they couldn't have been raped because they're a man. Unfortunately, men do get raped, and there's a huge stigma around talking about it because of our twisted ideas of masculinity. An erection doesn't necessarily mean that someone is sexually aroused or consenting to sex. A lot of other things can cause that. Like I said before, people of any gender can be raped.
Oh, thank you, feminist overlords. I guess it is rape when a woman does it.
Number 9, they couldn't have been raped because they were in a relationship with the person. Partner rape is also a real thing that happens. Just because you consented to sex with someone once or twice or 50 times doesn't mean that you've permanently consented to everything with them in the future.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on this. I agree.
Number 10, their story can't be true because I know they're rapist and they're a nice person. The thing is, we have this myth about rapists that they're scary people with no friends who hide in bushes and attack people in alleys. But in reality, rapists are often very charismatic people with lots of friends.
Citation needed.
In fact, people are far more likely to be raped by an acquaintance, a friend, a partner, or a family member than a stranger. So those are the 10 lies we're told about rape survivors and why they're not true. Please believe survivors. We need to change the culture we live in to be one where survivors are respected and believed.
No, we don't need to change the culture, and no, we shouldn't just listen and believe. Because we have this thing called innocent before proven guilty, Justin. Innocent before proven guilty. When someone is accused of a crime, we do not immediately say, that person definitely did it, we should come down on that person hard. And that's the culture we live in. The culture we live in today is one that says, innocent before proven guilty. When there's evidence to prove the accuser's claim, we'll take it to court, we'll convict them, and then we'll say for certain, yes, this person is guilty, right? You want to change the culture so it is guilty before proven innocent. And that is fucking disgusting and terrifying all at the same time. Well, that's the show. That's all I got for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.